CastleScape by Praetorian Board Games, and I wrote their name out all cute for you so you could see it and spell it properly in case you needed to. So they're an indie game publisher, and they gave me this game at Origins, and I just wanted to show you a little bit more about it since some of you had been asking. Also, full disclaimer, I chose this time because I thought that I would have full sunlight, but instead I have like setting sunlight and it's mucking with everything. So I apologize in advance for that. I'll just pull this back and forth as needed. And it's also hotboxed my bedroom, or my game room, so it's making me deteriorate as I go. Hi there. Hi. Thank you so much for joining. And please feel free to ask questions as you go. This is not a playthrough. I don't do like official playthroughs. I just want to give you a bit more of a gist of what's in the box since a lot of you have asked, and I want to be able to show that to you. So CastleScape is a deck building game, and what you're primarily trying to do is the lighting is so poor right now. I'm so sorry. It's like it won't pick up my actual lights because of the sun. I'm just gonna squish myself. So on the board here, which is bigger than my bench, it is making me really afraid it's just gonna fly over. You have, you're trying to build these little castle pieces to make closed shapes so that you can, they're called baileys, and that's how you'll score. So for example, I hope that you can see this. I really, really hope you can. If someone were to close off this one here, it would make this square, and in that square there's influence to determine who actually gets the bailey and who scores. Hi, how are you doing? Hi Brian. How are you? I'm so happy you all are here with me. It's so sweet. So yes, so if you were to close this one, any cubes of your color that are on top of a castle piece are worth 2, while any cube inside the scoring shape is worth 1. So in this case, I really, really don't know if you can see this with the poor light. I'm really, really sorry. But in this case, yellow would score 1 point because there is 1 square inside this piece here. And to mark that, you would use one of these tokens that matches your color. Oh my goodness, I'm never doing a live at 5:30 again unless it's the middle of the winter. And that would indicate that you claim that because there is some endgame scoring where that is important. And also, for example, if you were to close this one, so let me go back a little bit. When you're playing your turn, you have 5 cards in your hand. Hi there, how are you doing, Chris? And you're playing them out, and one of the only real rules about the order of which you play them is that you have to build your walls before you can place new cubes. So these cubes would have been placed in a turn before, and the way to get them up to the top to score 2 instead of 1 is to place them at the beginning of your turn. And see, now this would close this, and I would have 2 for influence, and this person red would only have 3 because they'd have this 2 and this 1. How are you guys doing today? I hope that you're having a great day. I'm once again just apologizing profusely for the fact that the sun is going down instead of here with me to help with my lighting situation. I'm kind of like all creepy in the shadows. So I'll show you a little bit about the cards that you start with. So in your deck you start with 4 market stalls, which are just 1 gold, a typical deck building situation. I had this closer to here so I could actually show you this, but then there's no light on my board. So this is a learning experience, clearly, at this point. You also get 2 recruits, which allows you to add your cubes to the board. You get 2 stone walls, which each give you +2 walls that you can add to the board. And you also get clumsy thieves, which give you gold. So the fun thing about this game is that some of them have these symbols at the bottom, which are infamy or corruption. These are both infamy. So if you choose to use them, they end up in your back alley. This is your player board. I'll show you that. So that tracks your infamy and your corruption, as well as allows you to make kind of like a play area. And then they go into your back alley, and then when it comes time to reshuffle your deck, how you do in deck building games, you'll have to add the points of the infamy and corruption to your tracker, and then shuffle them back into your deck. If you don't use the ability, then you don't have to put them in your back alley. And the thing about infamy and corruption is that after all of these turrets are placed onto your board, it will cause an inspection.
One of my friends says, "Sorry, Michelle, I have to go sleep because I work tomorrow. I will watch the replay."
Thank you for showing up. I saw that you were in the waiting room, and that was very encouraging. I'm once again really sorry. Ooh, see, the lighting's trying to come back now that it's like regulating. Thank you for stopping in. So yeah, so what was I saying here? So yes, the infamy and corruption. So when an an inspection happens, um, it will make you remove influence from the board based on how much infamy you have, and then it will make you put your infamy all the way to 0. So for example, if I had 7 infamy, I would have to take off an equivalent of 7 influence points from the board. I'm sweating so much. This really is a hot box. I don't suggest filming in the sunshine in the future. But so once you're down to 0, you also then have to move your infamy back up to where your corruption is. So it kind of penalizes you in rounds to come. And based on how many players you have, there will be that many inspections. So for a 2-player game, you'll play 4 inspection rounds, each with 15 walls in your quarry here. And then after you've done the 4 inspections, the game will be over. A few other things that happen in the game is that there's goals. There's 2 goals that are shown at the beginning of the game that are shared goals. But whoever achieves it first gets the points. So for example, this one has, I'm really far, 4 points, and it says go big or go home, and if you claim a bailey with 8 or more enclosed squares. So this one's only 3, so that would be 3 points when you close it, but this goal is to try and make you build one of more than 8, so if someone does that, they get the 4 extra points. And you also have these contracts, which are secret, and you have 2 of those, but you can also buy them throughout the game to add more contracts that you can score with. This one says end the game with at least 5 recruits on the board, so that's 5 of these squares, so that would give you 5 extra points at the end of the game. There's another thing that happens too, is that when you put these round markers in to show that you've claimed a bailey, it shows who owns it in the future. So when an inspection happens, you also get 1 point per territory that you currently own. Sorry, I messed that up. So the markers are actually for the end of game scoring. There's certain things that give you end of game scoring for the amount of baileys that you have. But in the inspections, whoever has the most influence over a bailey will score 1 point per one that they have. So because these cubes will move over time. For example, if I had taken these 2 off because of infamy and I still had these 2 here, I would score 1 point for being the most influenced around here. Actually, this one plays in 2, so it's 6 influence. That's basically it for how it's played. There's basic market cards that stay there all the time. There's big stacks of them. So one of them is the contracts, that you can buy more and more contracts. I'm really sorry, the lighting is so bad. I'm so sad right now, but the card backs are really cool. And that's the contract card. And then you have other ones that do things like 1 gold, and you can trash another card from your deck, so you can thin out your deck. This one would give you 2 recruits, back alley bribes, except it will also add to your infamy. The craftsman's shop gives you 2 gold, so instead of having only cards with 1 gold, you'll have 2. And the ramparts give you 3 walls, so that you can build 3 walls with that card. I'm going to move a bit closer so that I can show you things as I'm going, since you can barely see my board anyway with this awful, awful lighting situation. There's also a rotating market that is this big stack of cards, and they do a bunch of fun things, including like some really fun take that kind of things. They also can remove cards from your back alley, so you don't get the bad stuff before it happens. And it can also like make people have to score their back alley right away, so move up their infamy and corruption, but it also stays there, so when their deck ends, they'll like have to do it again, so their infamy and corruption can skyrocket pretty bad if you have cards like that. And when an inspection happens, it will also cause the rotating market to empty out and be filled with new cards. So they don't stay there forever, so if there's something you want, you gotta buy it. Look, it's trying to regulate the light. So that is pretty much how the game is played. I didn't have much time to look at things when I was at Origins because I was volunteering, but this is a game that I walked by and immediately knew I had to have. I love shapes, I guess. I love geometric shapes, so I loved the idea of building these baileys and closing the shapes. I don't know if anybody has any questions. There is these cute little reference cards, which are super fun. I really love when games have reference cards so that you can keep track of what's going on. And I also got this sweet promo pack since I was at Origins, and there's quite a few cards in there. I haven't opened it yet because I was still learning how to play and didn't want to put in new things yet. This rock has nothing to do with the game, but the board is like bending because of me having it on a table that's too small for it, and I didn't want it to go flying. So I'm just going to remove these things and show you the board because I think it's cool and because it's not picking up very well. Y'all are super nice to be here with me right now, by the way. How cool are these pieces, by the way? I hope you can see them, but they're like almost like Lego, but they're not. They're little castles, and I really, really, really like them. As I was saying, I walked by them at Origins, and I was so excited that I just was like, I need to have this game in my life. So this is the board, so you can see, and you start where this square is in the middle with the castle piece. That's where the first wall has to be played, and you always have to place walls adjacent to an existing wall. And if your card says you can play 2 walls, then you have to play 2 touching each other. If you have 2 different cards, then you can play them in different places, but they have to be touching with the cards that they have. So this is the board, and the fun thing is if you turn it around, there is numbers on the inside. I think they're numbers. Yeah, and letters at the top, making like a coordinate system. And it says in the rule book something about an expansion, and I'm really, really, really hopeful and curious that there's going to be like cards that match with the grid that make you do stuff. I'm not sure what that could be or how they're going to do that or what exactly is happening, but that is what I'm hopeful for, that there will be cards that do that. And I guess just to show you quickly what a turn would look like, let me see if I have my base hand here. I just had it somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Of course I don't. There it is. I found it. So if you shuffle your deck, not a question, but thanks for keeping me company while I'm working. Thanks for being here with me with my terrible lighting and my attempt to do this in the sunshine. Like, such a poor idea. Look at me. I'm like, wee! But let's just give this a go. So, oh gosh, I got mostly gold. So on your turn, you have to play your full hand. So you don't get to keep cards for other rounds. You have to play them out, and you draw back up to 5 at the end of your turn. You don't have to play cards if you don't want the penalization or whatnot, so it's not mandatory that you play them, but you're not going to get to keep them. Oh my gosh. And so here I got 4 gold cards, and then I got 1 that builds 2 walls. So I'd be able to build my 2 walls and buy some other cards. When you buy cards, they go into your discard pile so that, you know, it adds to like the deck building. It's not played right away. But for example, had I gotten something different, let's say I had gotten the 2 wall cards. There we go. The lighting's starting to be on my side. 2 wall cards and the 2 recruit cards. Like so. I would have to place my walls from the quarry onto my cards, kind of symbolizing what I have going on, and my 2 recruits. And then I have to put the walls on the board first. As I mentioned, because of the way the influence works, you have to put your walls first, and your recruits you're trying to strategically place to be able to raise them up with walls on future turns. So for example, if I had that, and then eventually when I build more, I'll be able to raise them up on a different turn. So that's the rule with how you play your cards. And yeah, that's basically it. I don't know what else to... I've never done this before. I've never really gone live to show off a game. I tried it yesterday, and that was a trick-taking game, so it was smaller and condensed. So I'm going to have to come up with new tactics, but I really enjoyed playing the game. I guess I should tell you how I felt about it. I've only played twice. I played it 2 players, and 2 players is fine. It's fun, but I felt the game would be more like intense with more. So then I played it with 3 players, and that was a lot more enjoyable for me because you're not just one-on-one building. But I mean, if you like one-on-one, it's super fun too to kind of just mess with each other. But I like the element of like everyone's kind of interfering with the building, and by the time it gets back to your turn, you're not really sure what the shapes on the board are going to look like. I'd really like to try it with 4 players for that same reason, so that the castle building gets really intense and a bit all over the place, instead of like a bit more controlled when you're only 2 players. And then the market will also change a bit quicker. I can't remember if there's a solo mode. No, this is only 2 to 4 players, and the time they stay on it is 45 to 90 minutes. I would say that it took me both times around an hour, never 90, but I could see how it could if you were 4 players, because it scales up with the quarry and what initiates the rounds. Oh my god, see how much better it is now that I'm not in the sunshine? Yeah, so you also get these cute little tokens to track your influence and infamy, so you have 1 for each on your tracker. Everything's really cute. And it goes with your player board. This is not the right color for matching, but like I showed the player board earlier. Oh, it's so much better now. Here we go. So you see your player board, and it shows you your back alley and your discard and your draw, so that you can keep everything nice and organized. And that's, yeah, you get this whole big bag of castle pieces, which I find very satisfying. And that's it. Anybody else have anything that they would like to comment, question, concerns, feedback? Obviously, I should have waited till 6. See, now everything's perfectly fine. Yeah, if nobody has anything, I will probably hop off and adjust this for next time. But I hope you have a great evening, and hopefully you have some nice weather as well, because I might go outside since it's clearly that kind of day. Alright friends, take care, and I'll just show you the box one more time in case you're interested. It is CastleScape, and that's by Praetorian Games, and it's really quite beautiful, and it's a fun deck building game.